So excited to stand in front of you all here today and talk about my favorite subject in life, wellness. I think since I started in this industry 25 years ago, I've been waiting for this moment for the industry to wake up and see what opportunity you actually have here. And I'm going to try to hopefully describe that to you. I have the fortune of seeing wellness from so many different directions. I am, as we just heard, the wellness pioneer nowadays of Six Senses, in charge of anything that we do in wellness. That means how we build our locations for wellness, F&B, room programs, as well as spa and wellness facilities. I also work for our owning company as a strategic advisor. It's Pegasus Capital Advisor, who mainly invest in wellness, and I also look at our various portfolio companies that we have, which is not all in hospitality, and try to cross-pollinate and learn from them. One of them being Untitled, which was my company that I sold about 5-6 years ago to Pegasus. And Untitled has created many of the spa brands. Some of them you see up here. And we've done about 200 spas in 80 countries. But what's interesting with our industry right now is that we've morphed into something like a wellness think tank, where we look at things such as hospitals or shopping malls, office buildings, residential, as well as hospitality. So we really see that wellness is coming into all aspects in our lives. And I wanted to talk a little bit about wellness gateways. And what I mean is that doorways where you get an invitation to step in to the wellness world. And generally, it's either an event that happened to you or you're taking part of, or a person that leads you. And I'm going to tell you about my little story. I have two such things, one event and one person. So when I was 14, I had the lethal disease, meningococcal sepsis, and ended up dead in hospital. Woke up a couple of days later. They did not know why, and I had to learn to walk again. And it was a pretty uphill battle for a while. But it changed my complete perception. Today, I'm incredibly grateful for that experience, because I'm not sure I would stand here today unless I'd had that experience and outlook on life. And then you have people. And in my late 20s, I was desperately smitten in this guy. His name is Paul, and he's today one of my best friends. We never got together. But at that time, he looked me deep into the eyes and said, "Would you like to go to a meditation retreat with me?" And I was really not interested, but I say, absolutely, would love to. And I ended up with this guy and with these women. And I sat for 10 days silent, and it was men for themselves and women for themselves, silent, meditating in a pillow, and it was painful. And at day 3, I was ready to leave, but he'd stolen my car keys. So I couldn't find them. But it was the most transformational experience, I would say, in my life. By sitting and learning about my inside for 10 days, that's something that we rarely get. I also had a complete relationship with the outside. So these are the type of wellness gateways that we see right now, and they're growing at a very large rate, a very quick rate. And more people are inviting other people, and more events are happening that are inviting people to this gateway of wellness. And hospitality has a huge role to play here. So let's talk about wellness. We've already heard what a big industry it is. And if we look at wellness tourism, and I just want to define wellness tourism, you have the primary wellness traveler. Those are the one that goes to the destination spas, that goes because of wellness. That is their reason for travel. Then you have the secondary wellness traveler. Those are the one where wellness is an important factor when they decide where to go and where to stay. And it's also a big part of their expenditure while they are doing their trip. So if we look at that, and as you can see here, the most amount of trips are done in Europe, followed by Asia and then the US. But the US, or the North America, has the highest amount of expenditure. And roughly it's about $1,200 per wellness tourist trip. Asia is about $500. Europe somewhere in between. So you're thinking here, how big is the wellness tourism compared with the overall tourism? Well, I'll let you know. It is 25%. Yes, I couldn't help myself. 25%, ladies and gentlemen, 25% of your guests are interested in wellness. They book because of wellness. So for those, I've heard for the past 25 years that we're not really interested in wellness. It's only 4 to 5% of our revenue. We look at it as a profit center. If you see that, that's kind of a stupid thing to say, because people are interested because they book the room, they book their stay. And if we look at who they are, as in any tourism segment, it is the domestic traveler that's the largest one, and it's a secondary when it comes to wellness tourism. And if you think that the wellness tourists spend equal or a little bit more, they spend a whole lot more money. They're the one, and this is why I'm saying that it's actually not only 25%. In the luxury travel, I would say it's more close to 25 to 50%, which is also very much in line with the statistics that we have at Succinct and Raison d'Être. So they stay, they pay more, they book the suites, they spend more time in F&B or more money in F&B, they stay longer, and a lot of independent studies actually shows this. So these are really important guests for you to focus on. And let's just look at the future and take a look at Asia. And look at it what it was 1 year ago and what it will be in 4 years, and it's very quickly catching up. And my good friend Puri sent me this picture that I just included the other day. We did not really expect to see this 10 years ago. This is a picture from Australia where Asian women are getting massage from Australian women. The tables have turned, and that's just something. And we also know that the Asians and the Chinese are those that want to spend most on wellness. So back to how big is actually 4.2 trillion, if you put it into perspective. I've done my own little study, and when we released that, because they come from the Global Wellness Summit, or Institute, 2010, this was kind of what it looks like if we compare the bubbles. Last year, this is. So let me just do that again. From there to here in 7 years. So it's not a big difficult guess to say that we're soon going to see this, and maybe something much larger. And this means that we will have a new paradigm of health, where medicine takes place in hospital clinics with medical practitioners. Wellness can take place anywhere. And the sweet spot is in the middle, the vesica piscis that you see between the two circles, where hospitality industry can take a big part. Because our guests, when they're there, they don't need to pay bills, get the kids, clean the house, and all those other things. They are open. And we hear so much about transformational travel, and it's not only for business traveler, but it's because of people on vacation or whatever reason, but you just have that window. And we can be those people who learn them how to live a healthier life. So is it that easy? We'll add some wellness and we're good to go? Well, I wish. But we're living in a very interesting era right now, where anything that we see is not reality. What you see and I see and you over there see of this situation right now are three different points of view. What's actually happening right now, what reality is, no one of us will know. Now, media and social media has caught up to this. So let's say that you are very pro-medical. So then you get all medical is good, wellness is bad. If you're pro-wellness, you get wellness is good, medical is bad. And you just get more scared from the center. So it's just something to take into understanding. And also we've thought that medicine is a science, or there are a lot to medicines, but there are no such thing because we as humans are too complex of beings. So it's a lot of research that can make qualified guesses. And at the same time, and please read this book. And at the same time, our belief in pharmaceuticals are greatly declining for very good reasons. I'll give you one example. So this is one of the most sold drugs in the world. And they look at how many person does it take to make it work for one person. So this particular drug, it takes 300 person for it to work, or 300 person that takes it for one person to get the benefit. It's not very good odds. Statins. Statins lowers cholesterol, and we know that that's kind of the lowering of the cholesterol is kind of treating the symptom instead of the cause. So In 0.33% it works. 15 times more, you get very big side effects. And it's described in this book, it's research, and your doctors know about it. So let me just put this into perspective, folks. Let's say if I go to Pegasus and say, I have this new company, I want to invest $10 million in it. And we have 0.3% chance that we will succeed. We have 99.7% that we will fail. And we actually have 5% chance that we will go bankrupt. That's how we treat our bodies. And it's not very smart. So tides are running. So what do? Jogging, we just heard that. Isn't running really good? We're made for running, but not the way we're doing today. So no, jogging causes inflammation. If you run 3 times a week, 45 minutes, it's actually quite bad for you. It causes inflammation, it wears the body down, and no, it doesn't make you lose weight. And just Google it, because there's so much research on it. So juicing, juices must be good. It's lots of vitamins. No, and you can see from around the world where the juice shops are closing down, we don't hear about juice fast because that's actually quite damaging. Or as our advisor, Dr. Gundry, says, juicing is great if you throw away the juice and eat the pulp. So where am I going with all of this? What I'm saying is you need to question everything. And I especially like this quote, because as we can't know what's right and wrong, we don't know reality, but we can say what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And we have to question ourselves and not rely on so much what we hear and read, but really go to the inside and see what makes sense. And that's particularly important when we go into wellness, because it's such a broad field. So the world is upside down. We don't know what to do. And I want to give you a couple of examples, because one of the reasons I'm standing here is what we've done with Six Senses. So I'm going to shortly give you a couple of examples. But what we first did was that we got some advice from the experts. Dr. Bruce here, for instance, he's a sleep doctor. He works with sleep 24/7. So when we want to know how to design our bedrooms, how we would be able to give our guests advanced sleep advice, because what do we do in the hospitality industry? We want people to sleep well, and not only for some chamomile tea and a pillow menu, but what if you snore? What if you have hot flushes? What if you wake up in the middle of the night and have difficulty falling asleep? What if you're jet lagged? And we were able to get the right advice, because there's so much out there, so it's very difficult, so we might as well ask the experts. But in order for wellness to actually be meaningful for you, it needs to be personalized. So Dr. Oz helps us a lot with looking at how are we going to make wellness personalized across all our locations. So we have a system today where we are able to measure biomarkers and do a biomarker screening, which means that we can get a very good understanding of where the guest's wellness is lying, and then we can design programs. It might be really serious programs, or it might just be advice, but we're able to understand that, and that is crucial for us. And those two, what we just saw there, they take place outside the spa. It doesn't necessarily need to be in the spa and wellness, so it's within the location. And then we've also launched something called Holistic Anti-Aging Clinic, which is a more advanced programs, but you can do it depending on how much you want to invest. So you can have vacation during, and we look at more, because beauty is the biggest segment, as you saw, in the wellness industry. But what's coming with beauty is that, yeah, you have the advanced outer beauty, but also the inside beauty. Beauty comes from within, as we all know. And then we've taken help of Dr. Claudia Gear, who is a neuroscientist, about brain beauty. A lot of research between brain and skin, but also how we see beauty. And that is a truly interesting field. So there's a lot of things that we can do and come up with. There's no end to possibility with wellness, and our guests are interested in all of them. So let's look a bit what's trending. Well, we are unfortunately living in a brain disease epidemic. ADHD, autism, Alzheimer's, dementia, depression, anxiety, schizophrenia is just growing at an exponential rate. Now, the good and the bad news is that there is no medical way to treat these yet. But what research has shown is that, for instance, that there are a lot of wellness intervention that we can do in our locations. And we also heard that our guest wants this. They want to have a mental break from their everyday life. So if any one of you have the gene APO4, APO3, or have a friend or relative that has Alzheimer's, I recommend that you read this book, because that will change your life on how to reverse Alzheimer's, for instance, which is non-curable disease today. And also we talked about it's being personalized. We are living right now in a ketogenic kind of craze, ketogenic for everyone. If you do ketogenic diet, you will be saved. Now, again, you might need ketogenic diet, but you might need to eat more protein, and you might need to eat more fat, but you might need to know what fats. So this is a at-home test you can do, backed by doctors and research and science, where you could easily do in a hotel as well, and have your guests know how do they relate to the various macronutrients, such as carbohydrates, protein, and fats. And then we can build menus, and we can give advice, and we can change their lives, because it's really cool to change people's life. And this is a holy grail, and you don't read the text, for the hospitality industry, biohacking. You can use electricity, virtual reality glasses, infrared, grounding mats, acupressure boots, and so many more things of technology, which is quite easily implemented. So, and then also in addition, we have apps. And this is my gift to you, because I see at least 2 or 3 sleeping faces in the audience. And you must be jet lagged. And probably 30% of you are. So download this app, and then you won't be jet lagged when you go back home. We worked with Professor Stephen Lockley, who runs the Harvard Sleep Lab. And he also does the astronauts at NASA jet lag schedules. And jet lag is, guess what? Also personalized. So he did my personal jet lag schedule about 5 years ago. And I have no interest in this company, but it changed my life. I travel all the time, and it's amazing not to be jet lagged, and no other jet lag app had ever worked before. So, and then you're able, so we're taking this app, and then we're doing a jet lag check-in and check-out, so we can really help our guests when they come to our locations not to be jet lagged. It so happens that eating 3 meals a day and being comfortably warm is not good for us, simply because that's not what we've been doing for hundreds and thousands of years. It's a pretty newly found phenomena with the birth of the refrigerator. So intermittent fasting, bathing hot and cold, intervals, running in intervals, and those type of things are really good. All of these things that we could build programs and offerings quite easily in our hotels. And then we have the rise of the female power. Yay. Finally. So, and however much I would love to stand in front of you here today and say, the world would be such a better place if it was run by women, that's not what this means. It means that we're living in a very male, linear energy society, and we need to balance it more with the female energy. And I think that you can all feel it, and you can see the changes in the world today. We can also see that with the growth of something like sacred geometry. This holds the mathematical secret to the universe, Fibonacci sequence, the 5 platonic solids, and other things. But the straight lines are the male energy, and the round circles are the female energy, and they need to be in balance in order for us to have a balanced life. And people are today reaching out much more to psychedelics, such as psilocybins or magic mushrooms. Microdosing. How many in here has heard about microdosing? Most of you? Some of you? And it's too dark for me to see, so I'm guessing. And microdosing is huge today. And why are we doing that? Because we're looking at what we can't see. Because science, which I strongly support and love, but it only sees half the picture. It's focused on the things that we can touch and see. And it doesn't focus on the unseen, which we can't touch or not really understand. So it doesn't look at consciousness. Or, for example, love. Love makes us happy, it makes us sad. It can cure diseases, it can cause diseases. It's what drives each of every one of you in here today. It's love. Love to our children, to our next one, to ourselves. And yet we don't focus on it because we cannot see it and we don't truly understand it. So we can see, and I want to give this, it's like we talked about wellness and that's very physical, but I'm going to take you a bit further on what's happening in the future. And ayahuasca, a shamanistic medicine again, that's also suddenly, no one knew what it was 10 years ago, now it's like a dinner table conversation. And we're working with this shaman, Dr. Alberto Villoldo. He's been around for about 40 years, going to indigenous people around the world and looking at what they do. And these tribes have not spoken to other people or to each other, but what he's seen that for thousands of years, they have used the same system to treat the body. One is physical, but they've also, we all have an electromagnetic field around us. And that is a field that interacts with everything we do. So when we walk into a room, we can feel, I like it or I don't like it. When we meet a person, we just feel it. When we fall in love, that kind of electromagnetic field. So they all have the same system. And that was looked at up until about 300 years ago when science and church separated. So it's really, truly interesting what they know and what we all can learn from them. And this is called energy medicine, and the Chinese medicine with the meridians and Ayurveda looks very much into this and are in tandem with it. But the shamans of the world, they really have a very set, and everywhere they do the same thing. And you're probably wondering, what is energy medicine? Well, energy medicine is harnessing the body's subtle energy system to create wellness. Just like your veins and arteries pump blood to keep you alive, so do your meridians pump energy to keep you alive and functioning. Chinese medicine. Block energy to an organ, and the organ will weaken. Our body is enveloped in an energy field, an information field. Toxic emotions stored in the field cause many of our ailments, unhealed emotions, and psychological trauma. Energy medicine opens the doors to the invisible matrix of wisdom, where everything is intertwined, where every thought we have impacts every cell in our body and every molecule in cosmos. So, how does this all come together? Well, this is my own homegrown image. I believe that for us in the future to be well, we need wellness and energy medicine to be in balance. And we also, which the indigenous people didn't do, have toxic environments, so we need to balance the environment as well. And then medicine will come in whenever we have a trauma, when we break a leg, need a surgery, or anything like that. And that is my future vision of the picture of how wellness and health and how we can work with this. So what about hospitality in the field that we all work with and I deal with every day? Well, it really starts from within. And I would love to see a bit more exciting back of houses there. I can't tell you how many hotels. I have yet to see one hotel that has any back of house that looks anything like this or anything a little bit exciting except white and beige and no windows. So it starts from within. It starts with us working with our most important clients, and that are our employees. And how can we sell wellness to our guests if we don't do it to our employees? And we need to embrace what is going to be the new normal, hanging upside down, having a room, scream room to just let it all out in, micro gardens in the kitchen, acupressure boots, and so much more. We just need to embrace it and see, okay, this is interesting, let's get into it. Meeting rooms. To have future meeting rooms because people are really bored. And I spoke to the head of the Mandarin Oriental today who started with mindful meetings. And it's been such a success because people are craving something else than just a table or chairs. And you can do so much more when it comes to wellness and meeting rooms. That's a simple way to get wellness into your locations. Because it's about connection. Just like when I did my meditation and Vipassana, I got to be connected to myself in a completely different way. Is there anywhere better than in our locations to show real connection with themselves, with others, as well as the location that you're in? It's about connectivity to nature. We know that nature is good. Even science has said that they know that it's now proven that nature is good for us. They just don't know why. And it's about authentic relationship. And I was speaking to Philip Boyer from Forbes at lunch today, and he was saying, we really are focusing on emotional hospitality. That is what makes or breaks. And I agree with him. It is what makes and breaks what we are about, what we do. So you might sit here and say, oh my God, this is too much. We don't want to do this. But it always is impossible until it's done. And you might think that our road has been like that, or my road, but we're somewhere in the middle. But what I want to say to all of you, that we in the hospitality industry has an opportunity right now. There's a window where we can change people's life, where we can make them loyal, where we can be that intersection of the circle, the Vesica Pisces, where we can make change happen. We can change people's life. That is the power we actually have. So my urge to you all is to look at what ILTM is doing, look at what everyone else is doing, and look at what we can do and what you can do, not only for yourself, but for your guest. Because our sole meaning in hospitality is to serve humanity. Thank you.